This is Joshua Farnsworth. Welcome to my traditional woodworking school. In this video, Will Myers shows how to install hinges onto a traditional cupboard. In this case, a reproduction clock case. He starts off laying out where the hinges go. Then he uses a chisel to cut the hinge slots on the case. And finally, he shows how to properly drill the holes for the hinge screws.
So a few things we need to do, or it's easier to do now. We need to lay out and cut the hinge mortises right here. There's 4 of those. And you see they point out right here. So here's my 2 side pieces, and I start out just kind of like all this stuff that we've done. These are a little bit longer than what I need. So I'm going to kind of look at them and see what I think is my best looking sides. And neither one of these is really wonderful, but you kind of flat sewn, and that's okay. The original clocks he used, like I said earlier, the really nice wood is on the door frames. The tops, the bottom, and the sides are just, you know, flat sewn, nothing. In fact, they have some defects in them. You know, just not real great stuff, and that's all you need. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to scoot around, and I've got squaring one end up, get them both squared up together, and I'm going to put them in this clamp here, in this same one we used earlier on the doors. And this just keep them aligned while we're laying out so that all our layouts are square to one another. So I started out there just a second, kind of jumped ahead, about measuring. Generally what I do is, like I said a minute ago, we'll go ahead and get the doors out of the clamps, get the ends planed down roughly to where they need to be, and then I'll actually locate the door on the side pieces here and mark their distances. Okay, our glue's not dry, and we can't take our doors out of the clamps right now, but we need to move on, so I just measured mine. But I would feel much more comfortable transferring, because when we get done, we want little tight door gaps, you know, we want everything to fit real good. And so the way to do that is to transfer it. You just get so much more accurate measurement that way. So I've measured my upper door, and it's exactly 10 1/8. So I'm getting ahead of myself again. I need to mark how these are going to meet each other, and I must use a triangle again. In fact, I'll use a couple just in case I don't see one. And then we'll do a little squiggly mark over here on the sides, indicating faces. Okay. So now this is my top. I've squared it up, and I've already checked these to make sure that they're square to one another, and they're square in this direction also. So I'm going to measure down 10 1/8. That's what my door measures out to, and that's exactly how tall the door is right now in the clamp. So I'll have to should have to plane a little bit off top and bottom to get a good fit, and that's what I want. I don't want them, we'll get the hinges on and get them working, and then we'll work on getting that really nice alignment. So, okay, I'm going to go back to my pencil mark here, and I'm going to knife this in across the face here. And this doesn't have to be really deep or anything, we just need a mark. And I'll darken that just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to go back and measure just to make sure I haven't moved anything or done anything silly, and we're right at 10 1/8. So here's the little block of wood I'm going to use for my center divider, and I'm going to use it to lay out the width of that dado. So I'm going to set it right here on that upper knife line right here. And then I'm going to make a little tick mark below it with my pencil. And then I'll knife that in also. And I'll transfer these down the inside in just a few minutes, and we'll do that A little dado there. Okay, so now I've got that knifed in. I'll pencil those in so you can see it maybe a little bit. And I'm going to make a little X here towards the inside so I don't, kind of a reminder that that dado goes on the inside, not accidentally cut it on the outside.
Hey, I just want to thank you for watching our video and also take a few seconds to let you know about our traditional woodworking store, which you can visit while taking a class or by visiting woodandshop.com/store. You'll find our amazing products to help you grow in traditional hand tool woodworking, including our in-person and video woodworking classes, hand tools and workbenches, woodworking plans, traditional wood finishes, shirts and hats, and cool hand tool woodworking gifts for your loved ones. Okay, back to the show.
Okay, my lower door was a little bit shorter than I meant for it to be. It's supposed to be 19 3/8, and I think it's 19 5/16, which is okay. And I'm going to double check here just before I lay this out. Yeah, we're just a kind of a fat 19 5/16. So set my rule up there. That lower line. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. We'll go about right there. Okay, so we've got a little bit extra down here. We'll have to trim these off here shortly. So once again, I'm going to knife this across, and this will be a cut line. This is the very bottom of the clock here. Okay. So with that accomplished, we know now where top and upper and lower doors are going to be. And I'm going to go ahead and lay out the hinge locations and start cutting those. And okay, this is my sides of my clock. If you're looking at the clock hanging on the wall, the hinges are on the right side. So they'll go on this side right here. So I'm going to set this side out of the way so I don't accidentally confuse and cut hinges on that one. So I'm going to clamp this one back up here. And usually the kind of rule of thumb for locating hinges is the width of the rails. So on our upper door, it's 1 1/4 inches. So I'm going to come down from the top 1 1/4 inches, make me a little mark here. And then I'm going to come up from my center divider line at 1 1/4 inches. Make me another little mark. I'm going to put a little X right here on the side where the hinge goes. And we'll darken those up here in just a second. Okay, this lower door, the frame parts on it are 1.5 inches. So I'm going to go 1.5 inches down there and 1.5 inches up from my bottom line. Okay, it's pretty simple, right? So the best way to lay out the hinges, of course you need the hinges, and these are some really nice ones. Me and Josh were talking about a minute ago, this is Horton Brass's stuff, and they're made in USA. Just really nice tolerance right here on the barrel, the fit of them, and they're nice and thick. Just a nice quality hinge. And in the end, it's worth these, especially these little ones. They're not very expensive, so and it it's worth the extra few dollars to get them because they make fitting up the doors and all that kind of thing easier just because they're more precise. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take my actual hinge here and I'm going to place it up here, and you see what I've done. I've folded the back side down the outside of the case, and I'm going to slide it up there to that pencil mark I just made. Tell you what, let me turn this around. You can see it better, I think, maybe. We'll do this lower one first. Yeah, this is the outside. Okay, so I'm going to slide, there's my little pencil mark. I'm going to slide my hinge right over that X, so this is the location for it. And you see what I've done. I've got the back side folded flat, and I'm not going to pencil this in, I'm going to knife it in. Just come across the originals are knifed in just like this. You could, it's pretty neat when you get to see a vintage, you know, original piece like this in person, because you get, you know, you see the tool marks and you know, kind of how they laid stuff out, and you know, most of the time they make sense. Once in a while you see stuff that you don't know why they did that, you know, or see mistakes. I was talking a little bit earlier about clock 21, the one with the glass door, and the reason I think it was either he intended it to have a panel, or maybe he changed plans, but it's got layout marks on the inside of the door frames, or on the outside rather, on the face side, that are on the inside on the rest of the clocks. And that's what kind of makes me think he may have gotten to a point, something happened, and he reversed the door, put the inside out. I don't know, just theory, we'll never know, I don't guess. But. So, and I'm just going to go down through here on all these and do this same thing, and I'm just knifing around the hinges here, and it's the best way to get a good tight fit here. And of course there's 2 hinges to a door, 4 hinges for the clocks. Okay, so you can see, and I'm going to move back down here and go ahead and chop this one out real quick. A little router plane is a good thing for these. And how I usually do it, these hinges, like I said, they're pretty thick. And if you'll notice right here when I close this, say the door was closed, you see how much gap I've got between the 2 leaves? That's how much gap would be between the door and the case. So I'm going to cut these little mortises just a shade deeper than the leaves are thick. That way, when the doors are closed, I have a much thinner gap than that. That's a little bit more than I want. So what I do, just start with kind of a wider chisel here, and I'm just going to go back in my knife line I just made, and I'm just going to I'm not going to hit it with a mallet or anything. Just push down in there a little bit, get a little bit of a deeper cut right there. Okay, this back line, what's going to happen if I put the chisel here and push down? It's going to blow the back out, so don't do that. We'll work up to that one as we cut it. So from there, I just start taking out waste, and you just kind of go slow here and kind of control your chisel. You don't want to push too hard on that back little piece of wood that's left. And if you do break it out, it's really not the end of the world. Once the clock's together and the door's closed, you can't see it anyway. So if it does get broken or damaged, it's just really not much of an issue. But we're going to try not to break it. And I'm kind of looking at the original clocks. The hinges are just like perfectly sized for the doors. The upper door has a little bit smaller hinges than the lower door, and I've kind of wondered, I don't know, they may have, you know, he may have made the hinges as well, I don't know, but they're perfect size for the thin doors and the thin case, and just neat little brass hinges, you know. So I don't know what hardware supply was at that time, you know, what could be bought, you know, what was being manufactured and that kind of thing. I've actually meant to ask around a little bit about that and haven't thought about it at an opportune time. So I'm starting down there, and I'm getting down there a little bit, so before I go any farther, I'm going to take my hinge and set in there. Okay, I'm just a little bit below the surface right there, so I think I'm going to stop right there. Okay, now we're going to just take this little router plane here, and this one is already set about where I need it, so I'm not even going to move it. So just go in, and we're going to level up the bottom of this little hinge mortise right here. That way we know it's good and flat and even. We're going to stick our hinge back in there. Okay, we're setting all the way in. So now that I've got it set and I'm a little bit below the surface, we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my screw holes and bore them too right now. before we get any farther. And that doesn't take but just a second. I just take a pencil, you know, make a nice little dark circle there and just use an awl. And if you go straight to the drill, it's hard to stay in there. So if you use the awl to kind of start it, and then you can just use your little whatever kind of drill you have. And I've got a 1/16 bit in here. These screws, if I'm using a harder wood, I use a size bigger bit, but the butternut is so soft, I stay with this little bit smaller one. Okay, so that's that. I'm gonna go ahead and move up through here and cut these other three, and we'll get set up and cut this little dado up here in just a moment. So I'm gonna get these knocked out here real quick.
If you're interested in learning traditional woodworking, come take a class at our school in Earlysville, Virginia. You can also visit our website at woodandshop.com, where you'll find a bunch of free woodworking lessons, workshop tours, and our very popular tool buying guides. And make sure you subscribe to our free newsletter to get our latest articles and videos. Enjoy!